My grandpa gifted me his $88 million company, but my wife tried to take over. Then grandpa did this. I should have known something was off the moment she whispered, "Happy birthday, baby," with that fake little smirk, like she already owned the place. The champagne was still fizzing in my glass, the boardroom still echoing from grandpa's booming voice announcing, "This company is now officially yours, Jake." Everyone clapped. Everyone smiled. Except her. Except Madison. Let me rewind 5 minutes. Grandpa stood tall at the head of the table. Chuck Vance, the legend himself, billionaire, veteran, business warlord. He had beaten cancer twice and bankruptcies 3 times. He raised me like a son after my father bailed when I was 9. Now, on my 45th birthday, he placed the golden keys to Vance Enterprises into my hands. "This company is yours, Jake," he said with a proud, glassy look in his eyes. "Don't let anyone rob you of what's yours." Applause. Laughter. Champagne popping. Madison leaned in and kissed my cheek with glossy lips and said, "I'm so proud of you." Line number 1. An hour later, while the party moved to our penthouse upstairs, her parents, Wendy and Greg, pulled me into the side hallway like some mafia sit-down. Greg crossed his arms. Wendy pulled her shawl tighter, eyes cold and calculating. Wendy said it first. "Jake, let's not waste time. It's been decided that Brandon will take over the day-to-day operations of Vance Enterprises. You'll be in a symbolic role." Brandon, her brother, a failed crypto bro with 3 DUIs and a business degree from an online scam university. I blinked. "What the hell are you talking about?" Greg nodded, like this was all agreed upon. "It's for the family, Jake. For the bloodline." Brandon's ready. Madison appeared behind them, arms folded, leaning against the wall like some smug villain in a low-budget Netflix thriller. I looked at her. "You're okay with this?" She shrugged. "It's not like you even like the corporate life." "Are you insane?" I snapped. "I just got gifted this company by my grandfather. It's mine." That's when Wendy looked me dead in the eyes and hissed, "Then pack your bags and leave my daughter's life." Silence. I laughed. I actually laughed. I thought it was some kind of joke. Until Madison said, cool as ice, "You've always been temporary, Jake. Grandpa just gave you something you don't deserve." That moment, my blood went still. And just as I was about to open my mouth and let hell pour out, Grandpa Chuck stepped out of the shadows behind them, slow clapping. "No wonder Jake never brings you around the real meetings," he growled. "You 3 are dumber than a box of hammers." Greg froze. Wendy paled. Madison blinked twice like she'd seen a ghost. "Here's the real surprise," Grandpa said, pulling a manila envelope from his coat. "I didn't just give Jake the company. I signed a legal clause this morning barring any transfer of power without his written consent. Forever. Try anything, and you'll all be out on your entitled asses." The silence that followed hit harder than any slap. Grandpa's eyes locked with Madison's. "I told you not to play games with my boy." And just like that, everything changed. But that was just the beginning. What they didn't know, and what I was about to find out, was that the company wasn't all Madison had her claws in. It was my heart, my trust, my life. And she had been slicing it up behind my back for months. 2 days after the boardroom showdown, everything felt hollow. Sure, I technically won. The company was mine. Grandpa had my back. The in-laws were humiliated. But something kept scratching at the back of my mind. Madison hadn't fought back. Not really. She hadn't screamed, hadn't cried, hadn't thrown one of her fake emotional tantrums. She just smiled. That same smug, little smile I'd seen right before she tried to hijack my life. I started noticing things. Subtle, small, but real. She began locking her phone. Madison never used to do that. We had a no-password rule. "Transparency builds trust," she used to say. Cute. Ironic. Then there were the late-night yoga sessions that always happened at the same gym, 3 nights a week. Except I drove by that gym on Wednesday, and it was pitch dark. Closed for renovations. When I asked her about it, she looked up from her phone with the most practiced innocence I've ever seen. Oh, it must have been one of the smaller locations. I switched to the downtown branch. More quiet. Line number 2. And then came the photos. I wasn't snooping. I swear. I was just trying to back up my files from our shared cloud storage onto my new phone. Madison had carelessly left a photo album open, titled Wellness. Seemed harmless. I tapped it. First picture, her in leggings, holding a green smoothie. Basic influencer vibes. Second, stretching in a gym mirror. Fine. Third, her in a towel, smirking at the camera. Okay. Fourth, her sitting on a hotel bed, wine in hand, with a man's legs clearly visible at the edge of the frame. I froze. Tapped again. Fifth, her, topless but turned away, kissing a man with tattoos I'd never seen before. And it wasn't a cheap hotel. It was the Sterling, the same place we had our 5th anniversary dinner. My heart didn't break. It ruptured. No warning. No build-up. Just an explosion of disbelief and fury. I kept going numb. 6th photo. Her wearing my hoodie, straddling the same guy, flipping off the camera. I don't remember throwing the phone, but I remember the sound it made when it hit the wall. I sat there, staring at the cracked screen, hands shaking. Every moment with her, every morning coffee, every fake smile at family dinners, every whispered, "I love you." It all snapped in half like a twig. How long? Who was he? Why? I didn't even care about the guy. I cared about the insult. The audacity. Madison was the same woman who told me 2 weeks ago, "You're my rock, Jake. I couldn't imagine life without you." Apparently, she could imagine life on top of someone else just fine. I didn't say anything that night. I slept on the couch, pretending I was just tired. She didn't question it. Probably thought I was sulking over the company stunt. She had no idea I'd seen everything. The next morning, I made her coffee like usual. Black, 2 sugars, just the way she liked it. I watched her sip it like nothing had changed. And in my head, I planned how everything was about to change. Not just for me. For her, too. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to end her little fantasy, piece by piece. But first, I had to know everything. Because if I was going to burn it down, I needed fuel. And I knew just where to find it. Her iPad. She always synced it with her iPhone. And guess what? She forgot to sign out. Everything was there. Messages, voice notes, calendar entries, even hotel bookings. The name, Xander, popped up over and over. Xander, the tattooed gym coach. A decade younger than me. Part-time trainer, full-time homewrecker. And according to the texts, he thought Madison was single. Can't wait till you're finally free. Hate lying about your husband. She replied, he's a walking wallet. After the inheritance thing, I'll cut him loose. Just a matter of timing. The inheritance thing. They didn't even care about me. I was a stepping stone to a payday. A means to an end. I could almost hear her voice in my head. He's sweet, but dumb. And rich. I closed the iPad, set it down gently, and took the longest breath of my life. She wanted to play games? Let's play. The next few days, I played dumb. I smiled when she made her protein shakes. I nodded through her story about brunch with Emily, the same Emily who, according to her messages, hadn't spoken to Madison in 6 months because of a fallout over a shared beach rental. I even complimented her dress when she went out on Friday night. A sleek black number she had no business wearing to girls' night. She kissed me on the cheek before leaving. "Don't wait up," she said with a wink. I didn't. Because that night, while she was busy bonding, I followed her. She drove straight to the Sterling. Same hotel. Same scumbag. I parked a block away, waited 30 minutes, then walked into the lobby. No disguise. No nerves. Just the steady, burning clarity of a man who has nothing left to lose. Receptionist gave me a strange look as I crossed the marble floor. I said, "Room 1412. Just dropping something off for my wife." The kid didn't even flinch. "You must be Mr. Carlson." Oh, I was Mr. Carlson now? I took the elevator up. The door to 1412 was slightly ajar. Laughter drifted out. Hers, high-pitched and performative, like she was auditioning for some trashy reality show. Then his voice. "Damn, babe, you sure you're still married?" Her reply. "Technically." I pushed the door open without knocking. They froze. Xander sat shirtless on the edge of the bed. Madison stood by the minibar, glass of wine in hand, lipstick smeared like war paint. Her face drained of color. "Jake, don't," I said, calm as ever. "Just don't." Xander stood up, flexing slightly, like I was supposed to be impressed or intimidated. "Hey, man, I didn't know she was." "Save it. I'm not here for you." He looked confused. Madison started to say something, probably another lie, some manipulative nonsense, but I cut her off with one sentence. "You played the wrong guy." Then I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the envelope Grandpa had given me just a few hours earlier. The real one, not the decoy he used at the boardroom ambush. This one contained full ownership clauses, security footage from her earlier visit to the company office with Brandon, and a notarized document revoking any access she had to my personal accounts, homes, or company assets. I tossed it on the bed. She didn't move. "You see, Maddie," I continued, "you didn't just cheat on me. You declared war. And unfortunately for you, I was raised by a man who taught me how to win one." Xander muttered something under his breath, probably regretting every second of the last month. I turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Oh, and check your phone. You're trending." Because while she was busy pouring wine and playing seductress, I had already forwarded everything, the photos, the messages, the hotel receipts, to a private investigator who uploaded it to a discreet little blog frequented by the city's elite. Within an hour, it'd be in every whisper chain, from real estate circles to charity boards. Madison was finished. Back at home, I poured myself a glass of scotch, sat in my office, and watched the storm unfold. Her mother called me 3 times. Ignored. Xander tried to message me on Instagram. Blocked. Madison. She stood outside the gate the next morning in the same dress, mascara running, begging to talk. I turned on the sprinklers. She screamed. I shut the blinds. There was no speech coming. No more chances. She wasn't a mistake. She was a cancer. And I was done letting her infect my life. But the real moment of peace? That came later that afternoon, when Grandpa Chuck called. "I heard about the hotel," he said, voice gravelly with amusement. I waited. "Proud of you, son," he added. "Some lessons you gotta learn the hard way. But damn, did you learn?" I smiled just a little. "Yeah, I think I did." But it wasn't over. Not yet. Because Madison wasn't the type to go down quietly. And I had a feeling her next move would be her loudest one yet. She didn't wait long. 3 days later, a legal notice showed up at my office. Served right on my desk during a partner meeting, like a theatrical slap across the face. My assistant, Haley, handed it to me with wide eyes. "It's from her lawyer." I didn't open it right away. I let it sit there like a ticking bomb while I wrapped up the meeting. But the second that door clicked shut, I ripped it open. She was suing me, not just for spousal support. She was claiming co-ownership of the company Grandpa gave me. Said she had contributed emotionally and logistically to my success. Said she'd supported me during key professional decisions and deserved at least 40% of the enterprise value. She even had a statement from her mother backing her up. Wendy claimed I was deeply unstable and incapable of managing a company of this magnitude without Madison's guidance. It would have been hilarious if it wasn't so vicious. I called Grandpa. "Expected it," he said, not missing a beat. "Let her make noise. We've got everything buttoned up. Ironclad." Still, something inside me twisted. It wasn't about the money. It was the gall, the filth, the fact that she was still trying to rob me after everything. After lying to my face, humiliating me, dragging her side piece through my world like I was nothing. I thought I'd seen all the rot inside her. I hadn't. The next week, I met with my lawyer, Thomas. He was cool, quiet, one of those Ivy League assassins in a tailored Navy suit. "Jake," he said, scanning the documents, "this isn't a legal case. It's a PR play. She knows she won't win. She just wants to make you bleed." I nodded. "Then let's give her a reason to drown in her own mess." We filed a countersuit. Defamation. Fraud. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. And for good measure, an emergency injunction to freeze access to any shared accounts she might have touched. Madison exploded. Not literally, but close. That night, I got 13 missed calls from her. Then voicemails. "You're overreacting. This is all misunderstanding. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Jake, please, you're not thinking clearly." And the final one, recorded at 2:14 a.m., her voice cracking. "You think you're the victim? You? You never looked at me like I mattered. You were always Grandpa's little soldier. I gave up my youth for you. I sacrificed, and now you're punishing me because I finally did something for myself." No apology. Just poison in a prettier bottle. I didn't respond. Instead, I made one final move, a private meeting with the board of Vance Enterprises. I laid it all out, with proof. The scheme, the betrayal, her intent to install her brother, and most importantly, the potential PR fallout if Madison ever came near the brand again. They voted unanimously to blacklist her from any internal events, communications, or company affiliations. She would no longer be Mrs. Vance in any context. That was the final nail. A week later, her lawyer quietly withdrew the lawsuit. She sent me one last message, a single line of text. "You'll regret this." I stared at the screen for a while before deleting it. But strangely, I didn't feel triumphant. Not really. What I felt was tired. Like I had finally crawled out of a pit I didn't realize I'd been in for years. You know what's funny? I used to think love meant endurance, sticking it out, working through the ugly. That's what Grandpa always preached. But now I realize something else. Real love doesn't make you beg. It doesn't manipulate. And it sure as hell doesn't use your success as a stepping stone for betrayal. Madison didn't just cheat on me with some gym rat idiot. She cheated on the future we built. She violated the very foundation of trust. And in doing so, she set herself on fire. I just let her burn. Weeks passed. The air felt different. Clean. The penthouse was quiet now, without her heels echoing down the hallway or her perfume choking every room like a trap. I started sleeping again, not tossing, not waking up in cold sweats. Just sleep, deep and undisturbed. People around me noticed the change. Haley started smiling more when she brought in my coffee. My board members, once tight-lipped around Madison, loosened up. Even Grandpa seemed lighter when we spoke, like he was finally confident I'd stopped being the fool in love and started being the man he raised. But you don't go through something like that without it sticking to your bones. I still caught myself checking my phone at midnight, half expecting a manipulative text. I still found old lipstick stains on wine glasses I hadn't used. And every now and then, I'd hear her laugh echo in my head. Not the real one, but the fake, flirty one she used when she was scheming. One afternoon, I went to a downtown bar alone. Nothing fancy, just a place where nobody called me sir. I sat at the counter, sipped my bourbon, and let the silence work on me. That's when a man sat next to me. Mid-30s. Sharp jaw. Familiar tattoos creeping down his forearm. Xander. He didn't notice me at first. Ordered a beer, leaned back, exhaled hard like life had slapped him around lately. I didn't say a word. Then he looked over. Stared. "Jake," he muttered. I smiled faintly. "Xander." He blinked like he'd seen a ghost. "Look, man, if you're here to start something." I cut him off with a laugh. "Relax. I'm not here for you." He seemed confused. "Then why are you?" I took another sip. "Curiosity." He hesitated. Then, after a long pause, he said, "She ruined my life." I didn't expect that. He went on. "She told me she was leaving you. That you were abusive, controlling. Said she stayed with you out of pity." I raised an eyebrow. He shook his head. I believed her. I was a damn idiot. She made me think I was the hero in her story. I said nothing. Just let him talk. She drained me. Emotionally. Financially. When the lawsuit failed, she ghosted me. No explanation. I lost my job at the gym after your people leaked the hotel footage. Clients dropped me. Friends vanished. I've got nothing. I stared into my glass. You chose her. I know, he said, voice low. And I'll regret it every day. He got up, slid some bills onto the counter, and before leaving, said, "She's a master at destruction. Just didn't think she'd turn it on me too." I nodded once. He walked out. And for the first time, I actually pitied him. But only a little. The next chapter of my life moved faster than I expected. I focused on Vance Enterprises. We launched 2 major initiatives in less than 3 months. Sales skyrocketed. I hired 3 single mothers into leadership roles just to spite Madison's man-built empire narrative she'd tried to spin online. And then, one morning, Haley walked in with a small white envelope. "No return address," she said. I opened it. Inside was a photo. Madison, wearing a cheap cocktail dress, sitting on a couch that definitely wasn't ours, next to some guy with greasy hair and a vape in his mouth. Her eyes were swollen. She looked small, like the mask had finally cracked. On the back of the photo, in her handwriting, "You win." I put it back in the envelope, folded it once, and tossed it into the trash. Because this wasn't about winning. It was about reclaiming what I'd almost lost: my name, my pride, my peace. You don't know how valuable peace is until someone tries to sell it behind your back for a handful of fake promises. So if you're reading this, and you've got a woman like Madison in your life, run. Not tomorrow. Not when it's convenient. Run now. Because some fires don't warm you. They consume you. About a month later, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. I rarely do anymore. But something made me pick up. "Jake." The voice was quiet. Shaky. I knew who it was immediately. "Madison." A pause. Then, can you talk? I didn't answer. She tried again. I need to explain a few things. I leaned back in my chair, stared out the office window at the skyline I now owned a piece of. I let the silence stretch until it hurt. Then I said, "You've got 1 minute." She sniffed. A deep, theatrical breath. I didn't mean for it to spiral like this. At first it was just attention. Xander made me feel seen. You were always so busy. So focused on Grandpa. The company. You stopped noticing me. I laughed. Low and bitter. You mean I stopped treating you like royalty while you were already auditioning replacements? It wasn't like that. She was defensive now. You don't understand what it's like to feel invisible in your own marriage. You were never invisible. You were loud, demanding, fake. Every room you walked into, you acted like it owed you something. She went quiet. Then her voice dropped. Softer. More manipulative. I miss you, Jake. No, you miss the life, I corrected. The penthouse. The parties. The prestige. You miss the man you thought you could reshape into a puppet. And you're panicking because your little fairy tale blew up in your face. I loved you once, she whispered. I loved a version of you that never existed. Silence again. She didn't argue. And then, right before she hung up, she said it. I'm pregnant. My heart paused. No emotion. No words. Just static in my head. She'd never mentioned it. Not during the chaos. Not in the fallout. Not once. My thoughts spun. Was it real? Was it mine? She added quickly. I didn't want to tell you like this, but I thought you should know. I asked flatly, whose is it? I don't know. Of course. That's when I ended the call. No rage. No dramatics. Just a quiet tap on the screen. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of sadness, because of calculation. If it was mine, I'd handle it. I wouldn't abandon a child. But if it was Xander's? Or anyone else's? I'd be damn sure I never saw her again. I called my lawyer the next morning. We prepared a legal demand for a paternity test and full custody petition if the child was mine. I wasn't letting her use a baby as leverage or a way back into my life. 2 weeks later, the results came in. Not mine. She didn't even try to contact me again after that. Probably too embarrassed. Or maybe just too busy trying to cling to the next man dumb enough to believe her stories. Funny how people like her always act like they're in control, until reality slaps the crown off their head. I kept moving, grew the company, started mentoring young entrepreneurs, even joined Grandpa on a charity board he used to chair alone. The world expanded now that I wasn't dragging a parasite behind me. And one night, sitting on the balcony of a lake house I'd bought just for quiet weekends, I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. She didn't break me. She revealed me. Stronger, sharper, free. And if I had to go through all of that again to get here, I would. Because nothing is worth staying in a life built on lies. Let her rot in the mess she made. I'm building something clean, something real. And this time, no one's taking it from me. 1 year later, almost to the day, I stood at the gates of Grandpa's ranch, our old family property, now being converted into a leadership retreat for veterans and kids from broken homes. His idea. My funding. He walked beside me with a cane, more out of stubborn pride than need. The man was sharp as ever, even at 87. He looked over at me as we watched the final steel beam hoisted into place. You finally done looking back? He asked without turning his head. Yeah, I said. I think I am. Good. Because you've still got work to do. We both smiled. I didn't tell him about the letter I got last week. It came in a wrinkled envelope, no return address. Inside was a note. Just 3 words. I forgive you. No signature. Just the scent of her old perfume lingering faintly on the paper, like one last attempt to haunt me. But the truth is, I didn't need her forgiveness. I needed my own. And I finally had it. That's the real lesson no one tells you. It's not about revenge or proving something to the person who hurt you. It's about proving to yourself that you can lose everything you thought you needed and still become more. That love doesn't always come with hearts and music. Sometimes, love comes when you leave. When you say no. When you walk away from what looks perfect on the outside but poisons you from the inside. So if you've been betrayed, if someone you gave your soul to turned out to be nothing more than a hollow, lying fraud, good. That pain you're feeling? That's the fire. Let it burn. Let it shape you. Let it purify you. Because on the other side of betrayal is clarity. And on the other side of loss is freedom. I found both. And now I know exactly who I am. Not Madison's husband. not some pawn in a family power game, not just the heir to a legacy. I'm Jake Vance, and I don't belong to anyone.